today, the First Minister's questions, with the opposition parties posing various things to Nicola Sturgeon. Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross laying into her, insisting there was no economic case for independence. However, she hit back by criticising his position over the crisis in Westminster. Let's hear their exchanges.
Rishi Sunak is fixing recent mistakes. The First Minister would wreck our economy for good. Nicola Sturgeon wants permanent austerity. Nicola Sturgeon wants permanent higher taxes. Nicola Sturgeon wants permanent economic chaos. And if she ever gets her way, we've heard today from European officials that she would leave us permanently isolated. Even if she won't admit it, the truth is that there is no economic case for the referendum she wants to hold in just 12 months' time. First Minister, Scotland rejected your plans for separation in 2014. Now your new proposals have been torn up by the EU. Isn't it time to drop your obsession and focus on people, businesses and communities right across Scotland?
And yes, I do want to have a referendum to give the people of Scotland that choice, because it's interesting, isn't it, that Douglas Ross is happy to come to this chamber and debate these matters, but he's not prepared to go and debate them with the people of Scotland. And if Douglas Ross really believed, that the Scottish people were going to reject independence, he would be clamouring for a referendum. The fact that he wants to block one, I think, speaks volumes. But you know, Presiding Officer, I'm not sure we should put much store at all on anything Douglas Ross has to say. Let me just reflect on the last few weeks in the life of Douglas Ross, leader, for now, of the Scottish Conservative Party. He called on Boris Johnson to resign, then he U-turned. Then he called on Boris Johnson to resign again. Then he U-turned again. He demanded that I follow the mini-budget. Then he applauded Liz Truss for scrapping the mini-budget. He voted for fracking in England. Now I think he welcomes the fact that the fracking ban has been reinstated in England. Just last week or the week before, he said that Liz Truss would win the next general election, and days later he welcomed the resignation of Liz Truss. Today he backs Rishi Sunak. Who knows what Douglas Ross's position will be this time next week?
Oh, exciting stuff there in Edinburgh. Let's speak with Conservative member of the Scottish Parliament, Sir Edward Mountain. And we were reflecting that things were pretty feisty in Westminster. It looks that there's even more going on up in Edinburgh.
Yeah, and it's just the right thing to be doing at the moment, because what we need to do is challenge Nicola Sturgeon's constant cry that independence is the solution to everything. She doesn't even know some of the times what the real questions are. But it's not the solution to everything, and I'm really pleased that Douglas took the economic arguments against independence to her at question time today.
Yeah, and questions, of course, now that oil revenue has dipped as to how they would actually sustain things. But is there slightly better mood music in the fact that Rishi Sunak is actually speaking to her, which wasn't necessarily the case with Liz Truss?
I've been a great supporter of Rishi. I supported him when he first stood in the leadership election. I think he's a very sensible man. I think he's got a strong grip of the economy and the economic case. And I think it's great he's Prime Minister. And I absolutely knew that he would reach out to include Nicola Sturgeon, although she may spend most of her life trying to push him away.
There have been so many U-turns on so many policy issues. Will the same happen on the referendum?
There will be no U-turn on the referendum. What we know from the SNP's economic case, which has been criticised by their economics advisers, is that we'd end up with a hard border between England and Scotland, 2 border crossing points, a destruction of the economy, and actually more hardship for Scots than they had to face during the COVID pandemic.
What is the position of the Tory party north of the border, given what we've gone through in these recent weeks? I mean, there's a suggestion if there was a general election, you'd be in for a wipeout up there.
No, we're not in for a wipeout up here. What we're doing is fighting the case for the union. We do that every single day, and we fight the case for our constituents every single day. And our constituents are constantly telling us about the issues that they face. Mainly at the moment, health issues relating to not getting access to treatment because this government isn't investing in it. It is allowing our National Health Service in Scotland to go into the winter in crisis mode. And that's just not good enough. That's what the constituents want to talk about. That's what we're talking about. And it's what the SNP are failing to talk about.